So as many of you are already aware, there's currently a TF2 project run by the community of pretty much recreating the game into Source 2. Now we've talked about this on the channel before, but recently I've come out with a new blog answering heaps of questions which we didn't have answered before. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at their blog, and if you want to check it out for yourself, it will be linked in the description. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because at 50k we're doing a Wamo body pillow. Nevertheless, let's get right into the blog. Okay, so here it starts off and they sort of explain why they're doing it. They're saying that over the past few weeks they've been getting heaps of attention from the community, from all the videos and all the posts being made regarding it, which is super cool, by the way. Shout out to anyone who's actually gone and supported them on Patreon, or has just gone and decided to follow the project on Twitter or other social medias. Alright, so the first question is, what exactly is Team Fortress Source 2? And the answer is pretty much explaining that they're not trying to replace Team Fortress 2, and that they're more so trying to answer the question of what if it was in Source 2? How would TF2 look and feel? And that's their current main mission. Created by passionate Team Fortress 2 fans and their many team members, whom of which have experience with the Source engine, with modding and content creation, especially within the TF2 IP. They found that there was too many limitations with the Source engine, but Source 2 completely breaks away these limitations. With things such as graphical issues, Source 2 allows for graphical improvements, better optimization, increased maximum map sizes, or completely just removing the restriction in the first place, as well as increasing the map sizes you can have, which would open up so much possibilities for much larger projects with wider scopes, which would have been impossible with just a regular Source. The Team Fortress Source 2 is supposed to be a proof of concept, a concept of which TF2 and Source 2 is possible. In fact, it is really needed to improve the game's performance, visuals, and physics. The short-term goal of the project is to build a TF base, a fully recreated stock Team Fortress 2 with things like mechanics, classes, and their default weapons, as well as a couple game modes to play on. Their plans are to make it open source so that the TF2 modding community can go wild and do their thing. They want them all to try this new and better engine to build something better using it, and this base would serve as a starting point for these developers. The most exciting thing for the team is that the possibilities are virtually infinite, and there's so many different things that could possibly be done. So guys, my opinion on that is that it sounds absolutely exciting. It sounds really cool that they're trying to create this base thing so that other modders can take it, do what they want, try to make a different game from it. I feel like this would be able to spawn heaps of Team Fortress 2 mods, similar to Open Fortress or Team Fortress Classic, because they would already have the groundwork done, which is generally the hardest part to do. So huge shout out to the Amper software team. It seems like they're doing wonders in the community right now, and their passion for Team Fortress 2 is really shining through. Anyway, the next question was, will I be able to run Team Fortress Source 2 on my computer? Where they essentially responded with, it will likely require higher grade components, and if your computer does not run at least DX9 or Dota 2, you'll likely not be able to run Sandbox. So essentially, to test if you would be able to run this, you can try downloading Dota 2, pretty sure it's free, and see if you can run it fine. If you can, that's great. If you can't, then that's a problem. The upside to this is that if you can run it, it'll actually run significantly better than Team Fortress 2, due to the new engine and the new code. But then again, this could be very disappointing to people with lower end PCs or laptops which just won't be able to run it properly. But ultimately, that's the price you have to pay if you want to play on Source 2. Now, my opinion on this is that, of course it's going to be disappointing for a lot of people, but I think a large majority of the community will actually be able to run it. I know a lot of people who play Team Fortress 2 also play Dota 2, but I think it will definitely be interesting. Either way, the next question was asking, why did Team Fortress 2 3D assets look different in Source 2? Where the TFS2 team responded with basically saying that they had to manually port a lot of the assets so that they'd look okay in Source 2, and that one of their main goals was actually keep the visual aesthetics of Team Fortress 2 and just move it into Source 2. So essentially, they want TF2 to look like TF2, which is something I'm really happy with, to be honest. By the sounds of things, it's also their plans in the future to make it look even more like TF2, but they gotta wait on some software things first. The next question they had was, will you add cosmetics, unusuals, and other economy items and features from the base TF2? Where the TFS2 team basically responded with that they're not gonna be adding the different weapons, hats, and unusuals in because it might actually be illegal. They're allowed to recreate the base of the game, but they can't recreate anything that Valve's actually selling. This is mainly because Valve doesn't really want people getting things for free that they'll usually have to pay for, which is understandable. The next question was, will you add unlockable TF2 weapons? Where they responded with saying that the free unlockable weapons that you can earn Team Fortress 2 are possible to be ported into the game. However, it's not really something they're going to be doing until the base project's finished. Now, my opinion on that is that it's pretty cool. I think that would be great if people could use all the weapons, but then again, you won't be able to get those strange weapons, vintage weapons, or genuine weapons because they're all in the Steam market. But overall, that's really cool. The next question I had was, why do maps not look as vibrant and warm as they do in Team Fortress 2? Where the TFS2 team basically responded that the Team Fortress 2 Source and the Source 2 engine are very different, and there's a lot of different lighting and updates that's been happening over the past 10 years. And essentially what they're doing to fix this is actually editing the maps and fixing their lighting so that's done right and so it looks like Team Fortress 2. Now, I have to say that I think it's pretty great that they're looking into these smaller details and listening to the community when they come up with things, because the TF2 community has had its fair share of projects projects which just didn't take any input from the community and ended up failing, such as Face It when they didn't implement servers in South America and Australia, but that's in the past now. So the next question that they answer is a very interesting one, and the answer was actually written by Mastercoms, the person who's been developing all these bug fixes for Team Fortress 2. So the question was, will you implement fixes to the core TF2 gameplay? Where Mastercoms essentially responds saying that, while without doubt they will be trying to improve some things, they won't be making any opinionated changes, so they won't be doing nerfs and buffs of weapons, but they could potentially be doing bug fixes and things like that. Now in my opinion, that's a really good idea. We've seen how the community responds when it's actually changed to a weapon, and it's really difficult to make someone in the community judge what's good and what's not good, what needs a nerf and what needs a buff. So I think it's really great that they're sticking to the origins of Team Fortress 2 and how it is in the game right now. Sure, it isn't perfect, but it's sure a lot better than what it would be if someone ran in the community tried to do it for themselves. Or alternatively, if you ask a comp player to do it because they'd be incredibly biased on certain weapons. Same with a casual player. So the next question was another interesting one, and it was asking, what about the HUD? Where Moonly Days from the TF2 team responds essentially saying that there's so many more opportunities with the HUD in game now. Using Source 2, there's different aspects of the HUD they can change, add, or remove, and that they're considering making new HUD layouts for the future projects that are made using the base. But right now, that's not really their main focus. The next question was, will you make balance changes from the base Team Fortress 2? Where Moonly Days responds saying that by creating a base, they want to stick to the original Team Fortress 2 as much as possible, and it's super important for them that it runs as close to the base game as possible. So it essentially means that they're not going to be bothering with any balance changes or adding extra things in until they have the base of the game completed. And they also stated that adding unlockable weapons is currently not their priority. So the next question is quite a controversial one, to be honest, and it asks, will you alter the core TF2 gameplay, random crits, random bullet spreads, etc.? And Mastercoms answered, since we're making the base game mode, these features in Team Fortress 2 will carry over to Team Fortress Source 2. However, as a mode for others to build off of, they're going to be adding some options to control these features with various gameplay components. So my opinion on that is that it's pretty cool that they're allowing these things to be controlled. What I think would be a good idea is having a vote at the very start of each round, asking, do you want random crits on or off? The next question is another one answered by Mastercoms, and it asks, how would all movement mechanics feel like in Source 2, like rocket jumping or sticky jumping? Where they essentially explain that the game mechanics in Team Fortress 2 are essentially just math, and the one great thing about math is that it's replicatable, and that the Source's movement math is relatively simple, especially compared to other physics engines. So it's a really small system to reproduce, so they're pretty confident that they'll be able to redo the TF2's movement mechanics that everyone loves. So this next question is possibly my favorite question in the entire thing, and this was answered by Sil Incognito. And this question is, will you fix inconsistencies in the models and their animations? Where they essentially answer that yeah, they're going to be exploring the possibilities with the Source 2 toolset, and that they might implement some more advanced features. An example of the advanced features they could implement would be small details like the slide moving back on the pistol, or as demonstrated already, the grenade launcher's ability to show your current ammo count with the correct amount of barrels displayed on the model. So I personally think this is really cool. So the next question asked, will I be able to use my custom HUD or any other pre-existing mods in Team Fortress Source 2? Where Beat Crazy and Justin responded with, that's currently not in their scope and it's not really one of their priorities that they're looking at. They don't have any plans to support a custom folder like the TF2 has right now. And this is mainly because they would actually have to recode these custom mods, which would be a huge task. Now my opinion on that is that yeah, sure, it's a little bit disappointing, but what can you really expect? Like they're moving it to a whole other engine. It's kind of a given that the mods for the old engine won't work on the new one. Now these next three questions we'll be able to answer pretty simply, just by summarizing what they've said. So the first question, how and when will I be able to play Team Fortress Source 2? Well, they essentially say that they don't have a set date yet, due to the fact that they really want to take their time on this and make sure it's done just right. And I have to say, I agree, there's really no point in rushing this type of thing. Taking your time is really the best option. Next question was, do you plan on releasing it as a standalone game on Steam? Where they essentially responded saying that they don't really have any plans on it, due to the fact that Team Fortress Source 2 is currently being built on Sandbox, and will be released as a custom game mode. And the reason that it's only on Sandbox is because it's the only development environment at the moment for Source 2. And the next question answered by Moonly Days was asking, are you planning on making any money out of this project? Where they essentially say that they aren't, and that they're releasing this project 100% free for everybody to enjoy, straight out of the goodness of their hearts. The next question is, will there be any public playtests? Where they said that they don't have any public playtesting right now due to the fact that there's not a whole lot to test, but it could change in the future. The next question is probably one of the most important questions in this entire thing, and I want all of you to listen. The question is, how can I support you? Where they essentially said that they're not doing this for the money, and that they're doing it out of pure fun and enjoyment over what they're doing. So the best way you can support Team Fortress Source 2 is by spreading awareness about the project and keeping conversations about it going. Hence why I'm creating this video, because I want you guys to see this, and I want you to support them and share it as well. They want to know what you want and what you don't want in the game modes, what you love about it, or what you dislike and disagree with. But with that all being said, some team members are accepting donations on Ko-fi or Patreon pages, so I really do recommend you go and support them if you feel like it. In the description, I'll include a list of the team members working on the project Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, subscribe, like, and I will see you all later.